Earth year 2157. The day humans had both dreamed of and feared finally arrived. Alien ships appeared in Earth's orbit without warning, their sleek designs unlike anything human engineers had ever conceived. Captain Ethan Powell stood on the bridge of the EDF Valiant, Earth's most advanced warship. His knuckles turned white as he gripped the command rail. At 38, Powell had never expected to be humanity's first line of defense against extraterrestrial contact. "They're hailing us, sir," Communications Officer Kelly Ryan reported, her voice steady despite the tension. "On screen," Powell ordered. The view screen flickered to life, revealing a being with purple-tinted skin and elongated features. 4 eyes blinked independently of humans. "I am Ambassador Xenthor of the Galactic Council. We come in peace and prosperity." The alien spoke perfect English, likely through some translation device. "We wish to welcome humans to the greater galactic community." Within hours, representatives from Earth's United Nations were meeting with the aliens aboard their massive flagship. Powell and his weapons specialist, Lisa Harper, were included in the delegation due to their military expertise. Harper was a tough woman in her early 30s with short brown hair and a skeptical mind. As the council representatives showed off their technology, she whispered to Powell, "They're being awfully generous with what they're revealing." The meeting room buzzed with activity as council members from various species mingled with wide-eyed human diplomats. Ambassador Xenthar approached Powell and Harper with what appeared to be a smile. "And you must be the military contingent," Xenthar said. "How quaint." Powell forced a polite nod. "We're curious about your defensive capabilities." "Of course you are." The alien gestured to a Zoraxian officer nearby. "Commander Vex can satisfy your primitive curiosity." Commander Vex, a reptilian being with scaled skin and sharp teeth, joined them. "I understand your species still uses projectile weapons." The alien didn't hide his amusement. Harper's eyes narrowed. "We find them effective." "For hunting game, perhaps," Vex chuckled. "The council races evolved beyond such crude tools millennia ago." The alien activated a holographic display showing energy weapons that fired beams of concentrated light. "Our personal defense shields can stop any physical object, making your, what do you call them, bullets, completely obsolete." Powell noticed other aliens within earshot laughing softly. "We would be happy to provide your world with proper protection," Xenthar interjected, "as a new protected species of the council." After the meeting, Powell and Harper found themselves in a private corridor of the Earth Embassy. "Protected species." Powell spat the words. "Did you notice how they kept emphasizing that term?" Harper nodded. "And they barely asked about our technology, just dismissed it outright." "Something's not right," Powell said. "They're hiding something." 2 days later, Powell sat in a classified briefing with military leaders from around the world. Satellite imagery showed council ships scanning Earth's resource-rich regions. "They're mapping our resources," General Williams pointed out, "not our cities or cultural sites." Harper entered the room, clutching a data tablet. "Sir, I've analyzed their shield technology from the demonstrations they provided. There's something interesting." Everyone turned to her. "Their shields are calibrated to disperse energy weapons, the kind they use. They've optimized against their own technology." She looked up from her tablet. "But they might have a significant blind spot." "Projectile weapons," Powell realized. Harper nodded. "They've been laughing at our guns because they haven't had to defend against physical projectiles for thousands of years. Their entire defense strategy might be built on an assumption that nobody uses primitive weapons anymore." "So what are you saying?" asked the general. Powell and Harper exchanged glances before Powell spoke. "I'm saying we shouldn't be so quick to disarm just because our new friends think our weapons are funny. We might be the only species in the galaxy that still knows how to throw a good punch." The room fell silent as the implications settled over them. The Galactic Council was still laughing, but humans weren't joining in the joke. 6 months had passed since first contact. Earth governments debated joining the Galactic Council, with many leaders eager to access advanced alien technology. In special underground facilities, Captain Ethan Powell and Lisa Harper worked to understand the truth behind the Council's friendly mask. "Look at these scanning patterns," Harper said, pointing to a holographic display. The image showed Council ships orbiting a distant planet called Neos. "They're identical to the scans they ran on Earth." Powell frowned. "And what happened to Neos after they joined the Council?" Harper pulled up another image. The once green world now showed massive excavation sites. They stripped it of rare minerals within 3 years. The native population was relocated to more suitable habitats. "Relocated or removed?" Powell asked grimly. Before Harper could answer, an alert sounded. A small spacecraft had landed secretly at their facility. Security feeds showed a single figure emerging. Not human. 20 minutes later, the alien sat across from them in a secure room. It called itself Krell, a member of the Valorian species. Unlike the Zoraxians with their purple skin and multiple eyes, Valorians had pale blue skin and looked almost human except for their 6-fingered hands. "The Council does not know I am here," Krell said, voice low. "My people were among the first to join the Council 3 centuries ago. We believe their promises of protection and prosperity." "And now?" Harper asked. "Now we are servants. Our homeworld provides workers for Council mining operations. We have no military, no independence." Krell's eyes looked tired. "When we see a new species being courted by the Council, some of us try to warn them." Powell leaned forward. "Why hasn't any species fought back?" "The Council's technology is far beyond most worlds they encounter. Energy shields, faster than light travel, neural weapons. Most species cannot compete." Krell paused. "But humans are different." "How so?" Harper asked. "You still use physical weapons. The Council finds this amusing, but they don't understand what they're dismissing. Their defensive systems evolved against energy attacks, not physical ones." Harper's eyes lit up. "That confirms my theory." Later that day, at a testing range deep underground, Harper prepared a demonstration for Powell and several military officials. "This is standard Council shield technology," she explained, pointing to a small generator creating a shimmering field around a target. "And this," she held up a simple handgun, "is a conventional 9mm pistol." The officials exchanged doubtful glances. Harper took aim and fired 3 shots. The bullets passed through the shield as if it wasn't there, embedding themselves in the target behind. The room fell silent. "The Council's shields work by detecting energy signatures and creating counterfields," Harper explained. "But physical objects moving at high velocity with no energy signature, they barely register." "This changes everything," General Williams whispered. Meanwhile, above ground, Ambassador Exentvar addressed the United Nations. The alien's voice resonated with false warmth as cameras broadcast globally. "The Protection Treaty will ensure Earth's safety and prosperity. The Council asks only for minor mining rights in unpopulated areas, a small price for joining the galactic community." As diplomats applauded, intelligence officers quietly documented which Earth resources the Council representatives seemed most interested in. Back at the facility, Powell received an encrypted message from a source within Earth's diplomatic corps. He read it twice before showing it to Harper. "The Council's official records show every protected planet initially receives the same promises," he said. "Within 5 years, 83% of those worlds have their resources depleted and their populations drastically reduced or relocated. So the treaty is just a way to gain legal access to our planet," Harper concluded. Powell nodded. "And they're counting on us being too impressed by their technology to notice until it's too late." "They're still laughing at our guns," Harper said. Powell's expression hardened. "Let them laugh. It'll make the surprise even better when they learn what those guns can do." Earth's leaders signed the Protection Treaty with the Galactic Council on a crisp autumn day. The ceremony took place in Geneva, with representatives from all nations present. Captain Ethan Powell watched from the back of the room, his face carefully blank. He knew what was coming. Ambassador Xenthar's 4 eyes blinked in sequence as he addressed the crowd. Today marks a historic moment for Earth and the Council. We welcome humans as our newest protected species. The treaty included several key provisions. Earth would receive limited access to Council technology. In exchange, the Council gained observation rights and resource sampling privileges. Most importantly, the treaty limited human military expansion beyond the solar system. That evening, Powell met Harper in a secure bunker. "It's done," he said. "We have 18 months before they begin full-scale mining operations." Harper nodded grimly. "And 6 months before their observers are established on every continent. Then we have work to do," Powell said. 3 weeks later, Powell stood on the surface of Mars. Through his helmet visor, he watched as Earth shuttles landed one after another. Each carried loyal soldiers, engineers, and critical supplies. The Martian base was humanity's insurance policy, hidden from Council sensors by experimental cloaking technology. Major Allen reports the last shipment of manufacturing equipment has arrived, said Commander Rick Foster, Powell's second-in-command. "We'll be operational within 30 days. Powell nodded. And the Council? Still busy setting up their observation posts on Earth. They haven't paid much attention to Mars. They think it's just a primitive research outpost. Back on Earth, Lisa Harper worked in a secret laboratory beneath Wyoming's mountains. Her team tested various human weapons against samples of Council technology obtained through both official and unofficial channels. "Try the hollow points next," Harper instructed a young technician. They were testing ammunition against a piece of Council armor. The technician loaded the special bullets and fired. The rounds tore through the alien material with surprising ease. "Record that," Harper said, excitement in her voice. "Now let's try the armor-piercing rounds." The results were even more dramatic. Council armor, designed to disperse energy weapons, offered little resistance against physical projectiles. Harper immediately began designing new ammunition specifically calibrated to exploit weaknesses in Council technology. Meanwhile, Council observers established themselves in major cities around the world. They claimed to be cultural ambassadors, but their scanning equipment and constant surveillance told a different story. "The humans are surprisingly compliant," Commander Vex reported to Xenthar. "They've ceased all military expansion beyond their moon, just as the treaty requires." Xenthar's mouth formed what passed for a Zoraxian smile. "Excellent. Have the resource surveys been completed?" "Yes, Ambassador. Earth is even richer in rare minerals than our initial scan suggested. The extraction will be most profitable, and the native military capabilities." Vex made a dismissive gesture. "Still primitive. They continue to use their projectile weapons despite access to our technical database. It's almost charming how attached they are to their outdated technology." Unknown to the Council, Powell's team on Mars had intercepted this conversation. Powell shared the intelligence with Earth's military leaders during a secret meeting held in an electromagnetic shielded room. "They're planning to begin extraction within the year, not 18 months as promised," Powell explained. General Williams frowned. "How many ships can we hide on Mars before they notice?" "At least 30 mid-sized vessels," Powell answered. "Not enough to win a direct confrontation, but enough to make them think twice." Harper added, "And I've developed something that might change the equation." She opened a case containing bullets with a strange blue-tinted metal. "These rounds contain a material that resonates at the exact frequency of Council shield generators. One hit causes a cascade failure." General Williams picked up one of the bullets, studying it closely. "So their laughter about our primitive weapons will be their downfall," Harper finished. "Their overconfidence is our greatest advantage." Powell nodded. "They expect us to abandon our guns and embrace their technology. Instead, we're making our guns better. And when the time comes, they won't be laughing anymore." 8 months after the treaty signing, Captain Ethan Powell no longer wore his official Earth Defense Force uniform. Instead, he dressed in civilian clothes as he moved through the underground network that had formed across the planet. The resistance movement had grown steadily, with military personnel and civilians working together in secret. Powell entered a warehouse in Detroit where 30 men and women waited for him. They represented resistance cells from across North America. The Council has increased restrictions on steel production by 40%, Powell informed them. They claim it's to reduce harmful emissions, but we know the truth. A former factory supervisor spoke up. They're limiting our industrial capacity to weaken us. Exactly, Powell agreed. They're moving faster than we anticipated. Our timeline has shortened. The resistance had established cells in every major city, stockpiling weapons and recruiting trusted individuals. Their communications used old radio technology and paper messages rather than digital networks that Council observers could monitor. On Mars, the hidden base had grown into a small city beneath the red planet's surface. Commander Foster oversaw the final assembly of their fleet, ships built with a mixture of human ingenuity and adapted Council technology. Shield testing complete on the 15th vessel. An engineer reported to Foster. All systems operational. Foster nodded with satisfaction. How many more weeks until the full fleet is ready? 4 weeks, sir, assuming we maintain current production rates. Make it 3, Foster ordered. Captain Powell believes we have less time than we thought. Back on Earth, Lisa Harper worked with a team of scientists in the Wyoming facility. They had made breakthrough after breakthrough, developing weapons specifically designed to counter Council technology. The resonance bullets work perfectly, Harper explained to a group of soldiers. But we've developed something even better. She displayed a new rifle design. This weapon fires standard ammunition, but contains a frequency modulator that disrupts Council shields on impact. One shot creates a momentary window. Multiple hits will collapse their entire defensive system. A soldier raised his hand. How many do we have? Not enough, Harper admitted. We're manufacturing as fast as we can, but we're limited by the Council's industrial restrictions. Across the room, a communications specialist suddenly called out, "Ma'am." Urgent message from Captain Powell. Harper read the encrypted message, her expression darkening. The Council has ordered a complete halt to all ammunition production worldwide, effective immediately. They claim it's an unnecessary industry for a protected species. The room fell silent. They suspect something, one of the scientists whispered. Meanwhile, in orbit, aboard the Council flagship, Ambassador Xenfar met with Commander Vex. The humans appear suspiciously compliant, Xenfar observed. They accepted the new industrial restrictions without significant protest. Vex nodded. I find it concerning. Most species resist at this stage of integration. What about their military? Officially dormant, Vex replied. But our sensors have detected unusual gaps in our surveillance network. Brief moments where certain regions go completely dark. Investigate these gaps, Xenfar ordered, and accelerate the peacekeeping deployment. If the humans are planning something, I want our forces in place before they act. That night, Powell met Harper at a safe house outside Chicago. Rain pounded on the windows as they reviewed their dwindling options. The Mars fleet needs another 3 weeks, Powell said. But the Council is moving faster than expected. Harper spread out maps showing Council observer positions around the world. They're positioning themselves near our major military installations. Classic pre-invasion strategy. Then we need to accelerate our plans, Powell decided. He pulled out a secure communication device. Tell Foster to prepare the first 10 ships for immediate deployment, ready or not. Harper looked concerned. That's barely a third of our planned force. Powell's face was grim in the dim light. We're out of time, Lisa. The Council has stopped laughing at our guns. I think they're starting to realize their mistake. Harper nodded slowly. Then it's time to show them just how big a mistake it was. Outside, Council ships moved silently through Earth's atmosphere, their crews unaware that humans were about to change the rules of engagement. The Council's peacekeeping force descended on Earth without warning. Thousands of ships entered the atmosphere simultaneously, targeting military bases and government centers. Their official message claimed they were responding to concerning military buildups that violated the Protection Treaty. In Washington, D.C., Powell watched from a hidden bunker as council ships hovered over the White House. Similar scenes played out in capitals around the world. "They're not even trying to maintain the pretense anymore," he said to the communication officer beside him. "Send the signal." Throughout Earth, resistance cells activated. Hidden weapons caches were opened, and soldiers who had been living as civilians donned their unofficial uniforms. But the real response came from beyond Earth. On Mars, Commander Foster received Powell's signal. "All ships launch immediately." This is not a drill. The Martian surface split open as hidden hangar doors revealed the fruits of humanity's secret labor. 30 ships rose from the red planet. Fewer than planned, but enough to surprise the Council forces. Ambassador Xenthar stood on the bridge of the Council flagship, watching Earth's major cities being surrounded by his forces. His satisfaction vanished when an officer rushed to his side. "Ambassador, multiple ships approaching from Mars." "Mars?" Xenthar's 4 eyes blinked in confusion. "The humans have no significant presence on Mars." The tactical display showed human vessels approaching rapidly. They were smaller than Council ships, but moving with surprising speed. "How did they hide this from our observers?" Commander Vex demanded. Before anyone could answer, the human ships opened fire. Not with energy weapons, but with massive railguns that launched physical projectiles at incredible velocities. The first volley struck the shields of 3 Council ships. Where energy weapons would have been absorbed and dissipated, the kinetic projectiles passed through the shields as if they weren't there. Council ships shuddered under impacts they had never been designed to withstand. "Impossible," Vex shouted as damage reports flooded in. "Adjust shield frequencies." But the Council engineers had no ready solution. Their defensive systems had evolved over centuries to counter energy-based attacks. They had no effective defense against the simple physics of a metal slug moving at hypersonic speed. On Earth, Lisa Harper led a team of soldiers against Council forces that had landed near the Wyoming facility. The aliens emerged confidently, their personal shields glowing with energy. "Primitive humans," the Zoraxian commander called out. "Surrender your weapons." And Harper raised her rifle and fired a single shot. The special resonance bullet struck the commander's shield, causing it to flicker and fail. Her second shot took him down. "Shields ineffective," one of the aliens cried in panic. "They can penetrate." The rest of Harper's team opened fire. Their bullets, specifically designed to exploit Council shield weaknesses, made short work of the peacekeeping force. Similar scenes played out worldwide as human resistance fighters engaged Council ground forces. The aliens' superior technology offered little protection against weapons they had dismissed as primitive. In orbit, Powell had commandeered an Earth Defense Force shuttle to reach the battle. He watched through the viewscreen as Foster's Mars fleet continued to hammer the Council ships. A third of the alien vessels were already disabled or retreating. "Captain Powell," Foster's voice came through the communication system. "The Council flagship is hailing all channels." "Put it through," Powell ordered. Ambassador Xenthar's face appeared on screen, his purple features contorted with rage and disbelief. "What is the meaning of this?" The ambassador demanded. "You violate our protection treaty with these barbaric weapons." Powell's expression remained cold. "You violated the treaty first with your invasion. As for our weapons, you should have paid more attention to what you were laughing at." On the Council flagship, a human projectile breached the hull, causing alarms to sound. Xenthar looked around in growing panic. "We can discuss terms," the ambassador offered hurriedly. "Yes," Powell agreed, his voice steel. "We certainly can. But first, you're going to withdraw every Council ship from Earth orbit. The protection has ended. And so has the laughter." The Council flagship retreated to a safe distance as Earth forces pressed their advantage. Within hours, the story of human resistance spread across the galaxy through captured Council communication channels. Other subjugated species watched with growing hope as humanity did the impossible. Captain Powell stood on the bridge of the EDF Dauntless, a vessel commandeered from Earth's official fleet and now serving as the Resistance flagship. Around him, officers monitored the ongoing battles across Earth and in orbit. Council forces are withdrawing from North America and Europe, reported Lieutenant Wilson. Asian sectors still show heavy fighting. Powell nodded. Direct the Mars fleet to provide support in those regions. The communications officer interrupted. Captain, we're receiving transmissions from multiple non-council worlds. They're offering support. This was unexpected but welcome news. Powell had hoped other species might join the fight, but not this quickly. The Valorians have deployed ships to our aid, the officer continued. They'll arrive within 12 hours. On the lunar surface, Lisa Harper led a daring mission. While Council forces retreated from Earth, their lunar base remained a threat. Harper and a team of 20 soldiers had landed on the far side of the moon to eliminate it. Remember, Harper told her team as they approached the base, their internal security relies on energy detection. Our conventional weapons won't trigger their alarms. The team moved silently through the airlock, using mechanical lockpicks rather than electronic tools. Inside, Council personnel moved about, unaware of the human presence. Harper raised her hand, signaling her team to take position. When everyone was ready, she gave the order. Fire. The sound of gunfire echoed through the base as bullets tore through alien shields and armor. Within minutes, the command center was under human control. Access their database, Harper ordered. Download everything about their defensive systems. Back on Earth, Council ground forces found themselves in an impossible situation. Their superior technology, which had conquered dozens of worlds, proved nearly useless against human tactics and weapons. In Beijing, Council troops attempted to hold the financial district. They had established energy barriers and positioned their heavy weapons to repel any attack. But they weren't prepared for what came next. Earth resistance fighters didn't attack the barriers directly. Instead, they used old-fashioned tunnel-boring machines to emerge inside the Council perimeter. The aliens, expecting attacks from advanced weaponry, were overwhelmed by humans wielding shotguns and rifles. News of these victories spread across the globe, emboldening more humans to join the resistance. Council observers who had once walked Earth's cities with arrogant confidence now hid or surrendered. In orbit, the battle reached its climax as Valorian ships arrived. Their vessels, long forced to serve as Council transports, had been secretly modified with human-inspired weaponry. Commander Foster coordinated the joint Earth-Valorian attack on the remaining Council ships. Target their engine sections with kinetic rounds, he ordered. Their shields are weakest there. The Council fleet, still struggling to adapt to the unexpected threat of physical projectiles, began to break formation. Some ships fled, while others surrendered. Ambassador Xenthar watched in horror from his flagship. How is this possible? He demanded of his tactical officers. They are using primitive projectile weapons. Primitive but effective, Commander Vex replied grimly. Our shields were never designed to stop physical objects. We've relied on energy defenses for so long that we forgot the basics of kinetic protection. Xenthar's communicator chimed. The Council High Command was calling for an emergency meeting. The human rebellion had caught them completely unprepared. Meanwhile, Powell received news that made him smile for the first time in days. Sir, his communications officer reported, we're receiving transmissions from 17 other protected planets. They're rising up against Council forces using our tactics. Powell turned to his executive officer. It seems we've started something bigger than we planned. What are your orders, Captain? The officer asked. Powell looked at the tactical display showing Council ships retreating across the solar system. Signal all Earth forces, continue the counterattack, and contact the Valorian commander. It's time to take this fight beyond our system. The Galactic Council had stopped laughing at human guns. Now, they were running from them. 1 year had passed since the Council's failed invasion of Earth. The galaxy had changed dramatically in those 12 months. Captain Ethan Powell adjusted his formal uniform as he prepared to enter the newly constructed Galactic summit chamber on neutral territory, a space station orbiting a star at the intersection of human, Valorian, and Council space. "Ready, Captain." Lisa Harper stood beside him, also dressed in formal attire. Her new rank insignia identified her as commander of Earth's Advanced Weapons Division. Powell nodded, as ready as anyone can be to rewrite galactic politics. They entered the vast chamber where representatives from over 30 species waited. At the center table sat delegates from Earth, the Valorian worlds, the Reformed Council, and several newly independent planets. The Valorian representative, Krell, now an official ambassador, greeted Powell warmly. "The human who changed everything," he said with respect. Across the table, Ambassador Xenthar watched with poorly concealed discomfort. The once arrogant Seraxian now represented a much diminished council. The summit began with the formal dissolution of the old protection treaties. One by one, formerly protected species declared their independence. Each new declaration brought applause from the gathered representatives. When Powell's turn came to speak, the chamber fell silent. 1 year ago, the Council invaded Earth, believing their technology made them invincible, Powell began. They had forgotten a simple truth. Innovation doesn't always mean abandoning the proven. While they laughed at our primitive weapons, we improved them. He gestured toward the Council delegation. "This isn't about human superiority. It's about diversity of thought. Each species brings unique perspectives and solutions. The Council's mistake was believing there was only one path of technological evolution." Harper presented the new Galactic Charter for approval. Unlike the old Council system, it established equal representation for all member species and prohibited forced protection of any world. The Charter also includes full military transparency, Harper explained. "No more hidden weaknesses or secret advantages. We will learn from each other's strengths rather than exploiting each other's blind spots." When the vote came, approval was unanimous. Even Xenthar raised his hand in agreement, though his 4 eyes blinked rapidly in what humans had learned was a sign of stress. After the formal proceedings, Powell met with Commander Foster, who had traveled from Mars to attend the summit. "The shipyards are expanding," Foster reported. "We're building vessels that combine human projectile weapons with Valorian drive systems. The best of both worlds." Powell nodded. "And the Joint Defense Initiative? 17 species have contributed technology and personnel," Foster replied. "Harper's Weapons Division is coordinating research into hybrid defense systems that can stop both energy and kinetic attacks." Across the station, in a less formal gathering, Harper shared drinks with representatives from various worlds. A Valorian scientist raised his glass. "To human stubbornness," he toasted. "You kept using guns when everyone said they were obsolete." Harper smiled. "Sometimes the old ways work best, but we're not stuck in the past." She pulled out a small device and placed it on the table. "This prototype combines Council energy technology with human ballistic principles, a hand weapon that can switch between bullets and energy beams." The gathered aliens examined it with interest. One of them, a former Council engineer, shook his head in amazement. "We spent centuries perfecting energy weapons, believing we had reached the pinnacle of technology," he admitted. "We never considered alternatives." "That's the real lesson here," Harper replied. "Never stop questioning, never stop exploring all possibilities." Later, as the Earth delegation prepared to return home, Powell looked out a viewport at the assembled ships from dozens of worlds. Human vessels flew alongside alien craft, many now retrofitted with ballistic weapons alongside their energy cannons. "Did you ever imagine this outcome when we started our resistance?" Harper asked, joining him at the window. Powell shook his head. "I just wanted Earth to remain free. But this," he gestured at the diverse fleet, "this is better. A galaxy where no species dominates the others, where we all contribute our unique strengths." "And to think," Harper said with a smile, "it all started because they laughed at our guns." Powell watched a newly commissioned Earth ship dock with the station. Its hull bore the new emblem of the Galactic Alliance, symbols from multiple worlds united around a single star. "They're not laughing anymore," he said. "Now we're all learning from each other. And that's how it should be."